you a Top 5 Wednesday, and this week's themes was children's books that you should revisit as an adult. Most of these books are going to be not a shock to anyone. This is also kind of a little bit hard for me because there really was no middle grade really became a thing, and like children's book became like the whole genre thing became a thing after like I was in like high school. So I'm just gonna pick middle grade books that I have read now and really enjoy. But the one book that I think that you should revisit if you've ever read Harry Potter and you're an adult now is definitely Harry Potter. Because I'm doing a reread now, and it, especially like in where we are in the world and what is going on in our world, I just think it's just fascinating to read it now, because especially when you get to like book 5 and book 6 and book 7, it's scary like how accurate she painted her world, and I get like shivers down my spine reading it, especially during book 5, like reading about Umbridge and Voldemort and everything. It just like it's really well done, but it's just slightly disconcerting. And I think reading it now really changed my perspective on the series. I think it's still amazing, and I just was like, I'm awe-inspired reading it now. You know, I loved it when I was a kid. I loved all the magic, and I loved all the fantasy elements and all that stuff. But boy, reading it in the 2018 climate is quite a feat. So if you have not done that recently, I highly recommend a reread for Harry Potter. There's a great podcast out there called Aloha Mora, and they do an episode, like an almost 2-hour episode for every chapter, and it is incredible. I'm on book 6, hope to read book 7, and I'm gonna read book 7 soon. But yeah, it's one of those series that I can always be reading Harry Potter, and I would be perfectly happy with that. But it's definitely one of those series that I think you should definitely revisit in your older age as well. Is that I found when I was in college, I would say, and that is the Percy Jackson, his various canons. And I really love this book series, but it's funny because if you ask adults like now, they don't know much about mythology, and I think that that's so fascinating. So I highly recommend these books, not only for the fun and the adventure, because they're kind of just like big adventure books, but you learn a lot. I know more about mythology than you would think I know because of these books, and it's just such fun reads. And it's like, you know, it deals with good and evil and mythology and quests and, you know, parent dynamics, and the recent books also deal with a lot of diversity, and I think sometimes we need a reminder that that's what our world is, and I think this book does such such a fantastic job. Rick Riordan really crafts a spectacular world, and I'm so excited to see what his imprint puts out, because I think it's even more special that he realizes that there's some stories that he can't tell but should still be told. So I definitely need to read Ship of the Dead and prepare myself for the other one, the Apollo series. But if you have not read Rick Riordan, you really need to get on that. I highly recommend The Lightning Thief, but I especially recommend the Heroes of Olympus series. Definitely my favorite of his whole canon so far. I'm currently in the middle of reading. I read book 1 and book 2 of the Dark Material series by Philip Pullman, and I could not get into the last book. And I read this book when I was little. I think I read this book when I was in like 5th or 6th grade. So it was a while ago that I read it, but I really do want to, and I just recently reread The Golden Compass, and I love The Subtle Knife, so I really need to reread that, and then read The Ember Skyless, and then read the prequel book that just came out. But yeah, so that's a series that I really want to love. I've heard amazing things about it. And I just have to motivate myself to actually pick up the book and read it. But overall, I really love the first 2, and I really want to reread them now when I'm not pressed for time. I read book 1, and I had a bunch of stuff going on, and I could not really focus on it. So what I might actually do is I might actually get the audiobook for it, because those tend to, like, I have more time to listen than read. But I definitely have a bunch of copies of it now, but definitely I'm going to add it to my Audible shelf and see if I can get that recently. But that's a series that I have not completed that I would love to complete in the future. I never actually finished as a kid was the Among the Hidden series, which is about a society where you could only have one kid, and if you have more than one kid, they become hidden. It kind of reminded me a little bit of now that I'm watching The 100, like a little bit of that similar, but I really did like it, and I actually accumulated some of the books from a library book sale. But it's just another type of book series that I just really want to continue with, because I think especially in this present climate with a bunch of stuff going on with refugees and stuff like that. I just think it's another way to look at it and look at like how that story was told. But I do like her as an author. She wrote one of my favorite books ever, which is called Running Out of Time, which if you have not read that book, I highly recommend it. It was a great middle grade story. Again, that's another one that you should definitely check out. But that's a book series that I really want to read, and I just have to find the time to read it. The last book series I'm going to talk about is a long series, and if you have not heard of this series, I don't know what you've been doing, but the Nancy Drew series. I've never actually read a Nancy Drew mystery, so it's definitely on my list, and I have a couple of them. I have the first one in my room somewhere because I got it from like a library book sale, but that's a book series that I just want to read, and I maybe actually get the audiobooks. Again, mysteries are really good to listen to for me. But yeah, those are just some of the 5 book series that I would like to re-experience or have re-experienced as an adult. Let me know in the comments what are some children book series that you think I should add to my TBR as an adult, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye!